All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Chronically Online podcast. This is our third episode. Thank you guys for all the support thus far. I hope you've been entertained. I want to preface today's episode by saying that today's topic is actually a little bit heavier than usual, so I'm going to begin with a trigger warning. There's going to be some gory topics mentioned, so if that's something that makes you too uneasy to listen to, then this is your chance to just get ready for next week's episode. Instead, there's going to be some lighter topics. Obviously, I know there's an increase on eyes on me right now, and with that, I'm aware what I might say may be taken out of context to fit a certain narrative. But I really want to preface this by saying that this is a real person's life that's now gone, and that person was a little girl. And I please ask that, even if you don't have respect for me, you please respect this young girl. Today, I'm going to be talking about my own personal experience with the artist David, who is now fighting a legal battle because of the allegations that he killed a 14-year-old girl, Celeste Rivas Hernandez, and he chopped her lifeless body up and left the remains in front of a Tesla where it sat and then decomposed for weeks. And it's a really, really, really gruesome series of events. It's just super disturbing, and all you can really do is pray for the family at a time like this and pray that she gets justice, and the people who did this to her are put through the justice system to the fullest extent. So I first met David in 2023. I was really, really, really trying to push those Can I Sing For You videos pretty hard. And in the time, I'd made some contacts at some record labels. And so one of those contacts actually reached out saying one of her colleagues was interested in setting up a content shoot between me and David. If you've listened to our last two episodes, you know music has always been my dream. It's always been my dream to be a musician. And so anytime anyone from a record label, a big record label, was going to reach out to me, I'd always just kind of say yes to establish goodwill. You never know where it might lead. And so with that being my mentality, I just said yes. They put me in touch with someone on the label side of things, and we set up a time and place to meet. Now, at this point, I kind of knew nothing about his music other than that he had that one song on TikTok that was like, I don't care how long it... But like an opportunity is an opportunity. So the day the shoot comes around, and it ended up being at his fan event in New York City, and he was going to promote one of his singles or just like meet with the fans or something. I can't really remember. He was promoting something. It honestly literally might have just been himself. Madeline said she thinks it actually might have been to promote that infamous Romantic Homicide song, but I literally don't remember, so I can't tell you if that's the case or not. So anyway, here's where shit kind of starts getting weird. And looking back, now knowing what we know, this was the first real glaring red flag. The creative concept for this event is that all the fans are given a bunch of shirts that we're supposed to kind of like stamp, right? Well, here's the catch. We were stamping these white button-down shirts by using these roses, but the roses were dipped in fake blood. And obviously the intention was to create the look that the person wearing the shirt was like covered in blood, which is horrendous to say the least, given the obvious tragedies that were inflicted on Celeste. And so me and Madeline, we had like no interest in doing this. We thought it was kind of just a little bit weird. I mean, we just had no desire to tie-dye button-down shirts with fake blood using roses. It was weird, and maybe there was something in our spirits at the time that knew it was a bad omen of sorts. And so we asked his team members when we were just going to be shooting our video, to which they kind of completely disregarded us and pretended they knew nothing about us. So we're forced to tie-dye these shirts. Whoop-de-doo. And after this, David comes out to give an acoustic performance to the fans, and the creative concept me and his team had settled on was basically we were going to recreate the viral video of the rapper trying to act like super hard, super hood, and then you have his like gay brother on the side being his hype man. So he performs a few songs, whatever, and then they bring me on stage to shoot my video. It wasn't really a stage. It was, I think, kind of like a circle in a room made around him. He was just standing in the middle of the room, and it was very street busker vibes, you know? So after that, we shoot the video. I think we shook hands and we'd taken a picture or something like that. And that was the end of that. That was the first time I met him. So flash forward almost a year later, the singing videos have really taken off. I went from having around like 70,000 followers to around 1 million followers in a couple of months. I was really blowing up, and it's no secret that when you have more followers, you kind of have more access, more opportunities. And so at this point, I'm a lot closer to the people who work at the label, and so they invite me to their Coachella party. Now, this is in no way saying I'm sending hate to David's record label or accusing anyone over there of knowing anything. So unless some sort of other information comes out, I'm pretty sure no one there even knew what he was doing in his free time, which was obviously, allegedly, some pretty disturbed shit. And some artists have some pretty close relationships with the label, but a majority of them just are really there to use the label's money to finance their projects because it's really, really, really expensive to do music, let alone tour and do videos and everything else. But anywho, I'm invited to this Coachella party. This is 2024. A lot of musicians are there who are with the label, and David happens to be one of them. And so obviously we've met before. I know he's a fan of my work, if you will. So I go up to him and I say hi, and I think I sing one of his songs to him. It's called Leave Her. I never posted the video to my accounts because I think I just said to myself, oh, this is kind of like a bad video, and I wanted some sort of quality control, which is also me sort of inadvertently admitting that you don't see certain things. Some things just don't air simply because I don't think they're going to entertain you. So throughout the weekend, I see David a bunch at the actual festival itself, and he'd gotten to perform. It was a big weekend for him. I think around then I'd gotten verified on Instagram as well, so it automatically put me to the top of his notifications. And so then we followed each other on Instagram. We weren't friends by any means, but we were certainly acquainted. We knew who each other was. We'd met in passing. We were at the same events. We weren't hanging out or anything, but we were both just like young guys navigating the same crazy industry in our own way. And so it gave us something in common. So after this point, I don't really see David for a while. I'm still living in New York at the time. He's in LA. I might have seen him once or something at a party when I was visiting, before I moved, but I can't really fully remember. But anyway, this all changes when I begin the process of moving to LA. Now, at this point, it's like spring or summer of 2025. David's a lot more established in his career, and I'm a lot more established in mine. He has his now removed because the other artists unreleased them, as they should. Leve and Caliucci's collabs, things are looking good for the both of us professionally. And so we know a lot of the same people. And so this is where it kind of starts to get interesting. Celeste Rivas Hernandez is believed to have been killed sometime around April 23rd, 2025. I don't actually begin the process of moving to LA until late May or so. And so every interaction I'm going to bring up now is post death of Celeste. And so that's where things get particularly sinister. I think the first time I saw David post Celeste's death was at a random influencer's birthday party. It was a star-studded event. I don't want to name names because this isn't about name dropping or getting clout or anything. And there's also a lot of legal implications potentially involved when you start doing that. And I just really want no part of that. We don't do that over here. So I meet a bunch of my friends at this party. It's a group of pop stars. They're all kind of around my age, which is a key thing here, because I think a lot of people were just like, oh, navigating the industry is hard enough on its own. It's good to have friends your age while you do it. And so these were my college friends, basically. And I was like 21 in LA at the time. So, and anyway, I knew they were all coming. What I didn't know is that they were bringing David with them. So it took me as a bit of surprise because I didn't even know these people were friends with him. But it seems as they were closer than at the very least I realized to be hanging out together in their free time. It turns out one of them even met their boyfriends through him at his party. The boyfriend was one of David's best friends or producers or something. It's a whole thing. Anyway. So in the city of Los Angeles, where we were, bars can't serve alcohol past 2 a.m. This might also be the case for California state, but I'm not positive. I'm not a legal expert. I just know that the rule is that it stops at 2. They might be changing that to 4. Okay, whatever. Obviously, we wanted to keep partying because 2 is kind of an early cutoff. I mean, I'm from New York, and so sometimes people will go till like 7 a.m. or later or so there. And so I was down to keep going. So everyone I was with was also down to keep going. And it was me, David, and like 3 other pop stars. So we all pile into this Uber to go to this after party. And so I was sober this night because I have terrible acid reflux and alcohol triggers it sometimes. So I wasn't drinking this night, which made me a little bit anxious. You know what they say about alcohol, you lose your inhibitions, whatever. Everyone in this car is like turned. Like they're turned as hell. One person's blasting their unreleased music. One person like has their hair flowing through like the window. They put the window down. Everyone's having a good time. I'm fine. I'm just a little anxious because I'm sober. And David, who's sitting next to me, asks if I'm doing good because I seemed a little anxious, a little uneasy, which is so ironic. The girl who's fallen victim to your alleged pedophilic habits is chopped up in a Tesla, and you're out here partying with not a single care in the world, asking me if I'm okay. But of course, no one at the time knew it was going to play out for the world to see, so I didn't really think anything of this. We get to the party, I split off from the group, and then I get tired and leave, and I find everyone, I say bye, and it's like 3 a.m. at this point, so it was so much for, I'm going to keep partying, I'm from New York. I think nothing of it. Now, remember how I said I would never really see David around? part of this was because he lived in a different city than me, but part of it was because we were in different circles. I mean, whenever I was in LA, I liked to go out and party, and I never once saw David at a single party until that night with all of those pop stars. But suddenly, he's at like every party I'm at. Right after this young girl died, right after this young girl that he knew died, that he was allegedly inappropriately involved with, and he's running around LA partying with not a care in the world. So I actually spoke to my friend Lori about all this, and she runs this big party in LA. It's called Try Wednesday. And anywho, for Try, there's a big RSVP list on this app, Partiful. So you can just kind of see who's going. You can say that you're going, etc. And we were just talking about how insane all of this is. Just, I mean, like, whoa, who would have known that all of this was going to shake out? And she said something really interesting to me. She said, dude, you know, he was on like a bunch of the Try Wednesday RSVP lists. I don't really know how many times he showed, but it showed, I mean, partying was at the very least on the brain. And from what I could tell, there was a huge uptick in this after Celeste was murdered. And it was unbelievable. But it made a lot of sense. I can't legally say if he did or didn't do it, obviously. But under the assumption he did, I mean, how sick is that? She's no longer in the world, you psychopath. And even if he didn't do it, there's still a lot of allegations that he had child pornography on his phone. I mean, this girl's family is... She's saying you dated her and it's a teenager and she's dead and you're out here partying more and more and more. And yeah, I mean, I actually ended up looking at his Partiful. I checked the Partiful app to look at his profile. And the good thing about Partiful is it actually tells you how many of the same people you've partied with. We had over 1,100 mutuals. We'd partied with like over 1,100 of the same people. That's a lot of people. He really got around town. And here's where it gets even more disturbing. It says the last event that I was at, that he was also at, which was around 9 months ago, which brings us to like July, August, late July, early August. It was a mutual friend's birthday party, actually. They were born on the July-August cusp, so it all checks out. I mean, right before he left for tour, I think I saw him like 2 or 3 times that week alone. And his tour had its opening night, I believe, on August 5th. And Celeste's body was discovered midway through the tour sometime in September, meaning that she was gone and he was seemingly so relieved that he decided to go around town and party and live it up before going on tour as this big final victory lap. And again, I can't legally say if he did it or not, but you know, it's all just really disturbing shit. The tour ended up being canceled shortly after her body was discovered for obvious reasons, and the news broke. Everyone was, of course, horrified. I don't doubt that some people in the industry knew. I mean, there were people going on live stream with him. There were people hanging around him. He was accompanied to these parties by his friends. There were people making music with him. But no, I don't think everyone knew. I certainly didn't. I mean, I spoke to one pop star and she told me she was really horrified when everything went down, obviously. And she'd known him for years, but she distanced herself in the year leading up to everything because she just felt as though something was really off. And it seems like now, I mean, she could have been right. I mean, we now know at the very least he was allegedly a pedophile. I spoke to other people, though, and the tune was kind of different. A lot of people they were like, oh, let me go unfollow him because the association was just really bad for their image. But I mean, imagine that a 14-year-old girl is dead and your first thought is, how does this affect me? Which is so up, really disturbing. Like, there are no words really, but I never really knew David particularly well, but despite how brief those times were, I can identify enough to comment on the behavioral patterns I'd observed in the times our paths had crossed. His label has allegedly since dropped him. He's obviously rotting in a jail cell and his music career is essentially finished. I mean, even if some evidence turned up that he supported that he wasn't even guilty in the murder of Celeste Rivas Hernandez, we all know that not only was he allegedly a pedophile, but he was also allegedly buying the silence of the people who knew. And believe me, a lot of people allegedly knew. I mean, she was on his Discord server and his live streams, for crying out loud. And I mean, he certainly had money if he was going to pay people. I mean, the rent was like $20,000 a month or something I read somewhere. And so, I mean, this wasn't someone who was low on resources, to say the least. And a huge takeaway for me from all of this, that ultimately a lot of people who are around in the scene are your friends or simply are just they're seeking their popularity as sort of a means of protection to hide their true character. And some people are alleged pedophiles and alleged murderers. Some people are just simply bad friends. I mean, I've dealt with all three of the above. You never know who's going to be what and who's going to be who. And I'm not even saying what happened with David is ordinary and that the music industry is full of these murderers and pedophiles and sympathizers of all of those things. And either I'm just, the whole situation, it's a disturbing and tragic and unfortunate series of events. And I'm really just praying for justice for Celeste. I mean, she was a beautiful young girl and she had a really bright future ahead of her. And it's really disturbing what happened to her. I mean, no one deserves that kind of a tragic fate, especially not a little girl. I mean, she was 14. That's all for today's episode of Chronically Online. It's a little shorter than usual for obvious reasons, but yeah, thank you for listening. I hope by telling you the story of how I knew David, I've provided a little bit better of an understanding of his behavior in the time leading up to the discovery of Celeste's body. And in the description and on screen, I've attached a series of resources to help seek justice for those affected by similar circumstances. I'm praying for Celeste Rivas Hernandez and her family. Thank you.